Electrical conductivity of electrolyte solutions. So let's first discuss the key points of the electrolysis. So for that purpose, let's consider a cell. Shows two metal electrodes at each end of a cell filled with solution of electrolyte. A potential difference is applied to the electrodes by connecting them to a battery. Electrodes carry the current through the metal wires and the metal electrodes, whereas ions carry the current through the solution. At each electrode solution interface, which have been magnified here, an electrochemical reaction occurs that transfer electrons either to or from the battery or the electrodes. Transfer of electrons through the external circuit and movement of ions inside the electrolyte complete the flow around the closed circuit. For example, if both electrodes are copper, as shown here, the electrolyte solute is copper sulfate, solvent is water, and the solution is copper sulfate solution in water. So the anode and cathode of the cell will work differently, and we have electrode reactions. The electrode reactions are given here, which can be explained as: at anode, copper is copper electrode oxidized to copper ion, whereas at cathode, copper ions present in the solution are reduced to copper that is deposited over the electrode surface. For a cell or the electrochemical cell, the conductivity cannot be measured directly, but the resistance of the solution is measured. But the resistance of an electrolyte solution cannot be reliably measured using direct current of this kind of cell, because the changes in concentration of the electrolyte due to the build or up of the electrolysis effects that are generated due to the electrochemical reaction occurring at two different electrodes, resulting buildup of the two products at different electrodes, and the change in the concentration of the electrolyte solution. So we need to build another cell. So cell is shown here. This kind of cell is known as Wheatstone bridge cell, and which have four resistances, and one of the resistance is replaced by the conductivity cell, which is placed in one arm of this Wheatstone bridge. In the conductivity cell, an electrolyte solution of known concentration is added, or we can have a small cell which can be dipped in any electrolyte solution and can be washed and reused again and again. For this kind of cell, the resistances, that is R3, is variable resistance. It is adjusted in such a way that the resistance setup make the point C and D having no current, means no current flows through these 2 points. At this condition, the resistance of the electrolyte solution can be measured using equation given here. Once a resistance is known, the conductivity can be calculated from the equation 2 and equation 3, where A is the area of separation between the electrodes, and L is the length of the separation. Here we can fix the area and length of the cell, so we can call it the cell constant, which is written as length over area. So the equation 3 combining the two will be modified as 4. So the cell constant can be measured indirectly by using KCl solution of non-concentration, which is considered as the standard solution, and the conductivity of this solution at various concentrations and temperature are given in literature. So we can take the non-concentration of potassium chloride solution, and we can measure the resistance directly from the cell given here, and then we can calculate the cell constant using KCl solution. This is known as the cell calibration. So after this calibration, we will have the value of cell constant. So for unknown solution, we need to take the solution with the non-concentration, and we can measure the resistance of the solution, and then the conductivity of the solution can be calculated using equation 4. One thing is needed to mention here, that the conductivity work should be performed in extremely pure solvent condition, because any impurity with extremely dilute condition can contribute to the conductivity, and which can affect the overall measurement of our system. Sometimes it's difficult to take high quality solvents, so we can measure the conductivity of the solvents separately, which is used for the preparation of the solution. So the measured conductivity of the solution will be subtracted with that of the solvent conductivity, so we can get the real conductivity of the solution. So the equation 4 is applicable for the measurement of conductivity of electrolyte solutions, and we can see that the concentration term is not given here, which is showing that the conductivity term or the conductivity measured using this equation will vary with variation of the concentration. For example, the conductivity of the 0.1 molar any solution like copper sulfate will be higher as compared to 0.01 molar of that same solution. Since the number of charge carriers per unit volume increase with increasing electrolyte concentration, that is actually the solute concentration, so the solution's conductivity usually increase as the electrolyte concentration increases. As we can assume that the three particles can conduct less charge as compared to the higher number of solute particles. So the number of charge carriers per unit volume usually increase with increasing the electrolyte concentration, and thus the conductivity increases. So in order to get a measure of current carrying ability of a given amount of electrolyte, one defines the molar conductivity. Molar conductivity is abbreviated as capital lambda m, that is equal to the conductivity of the solution per unit concentration. Here C is actually the stoichiometric molar concentration, as the molar conductivity depends on the number of active species, also known as electroactive species. This equation of molar conductivity is applicable for the dilute solution up to a concentration when there is no ion pairing. Then this stoichiometric concentration will be directly proportional to the actual concentration of the electrolyte. So this quantity which have been divided with the concentration is giving the quantity which is actually the independent of concentration in case of the absence of ion-ion pairing, because when ions are separately solvated and they are acting as new unit charges, so the concentration of the solution is equal to the stoichiometric concentration of the electrolyte. But usually interaction between the ions affect the conductivity, and those interaction changes with concentration. For example, the ion pairing, the species are not fully dissociated, and they have no contribution to the conduction of the electricity. So the undissociated species act as non-electroactive and thus do not participate in the conduction of charges. So the current carrying ability of this kind of electrolyte depend on the only electroactive or ionized species. So the molar conductivity of these kind of solution vary with variation of concentration. Electrical conductivity of the solution, that is the molar conductivity, depends on the solvent as well as electrolyte and conductivity variation with respect to concentration. These plots are obtained by the measurement of various measurements of conductivity with the variation of solution concentration, and the conductivity at 0 is showing the minimum value at 0 concentration, whereas the molar conductivity at infinite dilution is calculated using the extrapolation, where the lambda m infinite is showing infinite dilution value. So here we have plots of conductivity with respect to concentration, which are showing the slow increase in the conductivity with increasing concentration, and the overall conductivity is slow, showing the weak electrolyte, whereas the copper sulfate is intermediate, and these are the strong electrolytes or the more conductive electrolyte solutions. Now let's consider another figure. That's an approximate figure I have drawn for the study of behavior of molar conductivity with respect to square root of concentration. For the case of acetic acid, as the concentration is decreasing to a zero value, is due to increase in the degree of dissociation of this rapidly increases near the infinite dilution. It means that at lower concentration the degree of dissociation which is depicted from these trend lines is rapidly increasing, whereas the slow decrease in molar conductivity of the HCl and KCl as C increases is due to the interaction or the attraction between the oppositely charged ions, making them to unavailable as electroactive species. which is reducing the conductivity of the copper sulfate here, and the actually trend is like this for the potassium chloride, and this one is like this line for HCl. The molar conductivity for copper sulfate decreases more rapidly than for HCl or KCl, partly because of the increased degree of ion pairing as concentration is increasing. Here one thing is needed to mention, that the conductivity of HCl and molar conductivity of HCl is higher than the KCl because of the special transport mechanism that is based on the transport of the hydronium ion. It will be discussed in the next lecture. So the conductivity of the electrolyte solution usually at higher concentration, the molar conductivity decrease with increasing concentration, whereas the conductivity is increasing with increase in concentration. Another type of conductivity is known as equivalent conductivity, which is defined as equation given here. So the for the electrolyte Mv plus and Xv minus, when it is dissociated into ions, that is yielding the ions is Mz plus and Xz minus in the solution. For this kind of solution, the equivalent conductivity will be equal to the conductivity over the number of moles that are taken from the encircled part of this equation and concentration. So here we have a solution containing 1 mole of completely dissociated electrolyte that would contain this moles of positive charge. For example, for the dissociation of copper phosphate, we have Hb plus is equal to 3 and C plus is equal to 2. For this system, the equivalent conductivity will be equal to the molar conductivity over 6.